Hello Horror Hounds. When better than a lazy, rainy Sunday afternoon to get dressed up and dip myself back into the TV world of Freddy Krueger. New joiners to the channel probably won't know that a long time ago I started reviewing episodes of season 1 of Freddy's Nightmares, all 22 of them, eventually, over a long period of time. And then I've taken a bit of a break from the TV series. It feels like it's the right time to return to Freddy's anthology TV series that really needs a proper DVD release. So we're back on Elm Street with season 2, episode 1, Dream Come True. Well, that was a really solid episode. We know from series 1 that it can be a show of variable quality, and as an anthology show, not all of the episodes really deal with Freddy too much. Oftentimes he's sort of like a crypt keeper character from Tales of the Crypt, there to top and tail the episodes. But here, I guess, because it's the first episode of a new season, they want to ground the show back in the mythology of Nightmare on Elm Street and Springwood. So Freddy is shot all the way through this episode, and it's fantastic. The structure of the show is the same as it was in season 1, unsurprisingly. One episode has an A and a B story, and the B story features characters who appeared sort of in the periphery or in small roles in the first story, the A story. The A story concerns a new family, a mother and son who have moved to Springwood, and he starts having nightmares, and they enlist the help of a psychotherapist who's just written a book about dream therapy called Dream Come True, who believes that he'll be able to cure the boy, get Freddy out of his nightmares, convince the kid that Freddy's not true. And as with some of the episodes from season 1, Freddy does not like having his authority challenged one little bit. So the local TV station convinced this psychotherapist to go and spend a few nights in the kid's house. They'll film it for broadcast, they'll document the therapy, and so begins a weird kind of battle for this boy, Randy, between Freddy and the psychotherapist. And Robert Englund is having a blast in this episode. He's a much less showy Freddy than we've seen. And bear in mind, this episode aired and the season premiered only about 6 weeks after Nightmare 5, The Dream Child, was released in cinemas. He's a much more angry Freddy. He's a much more dangerous Freddy in this than the clown element that we have seen him play in the movies and in a lot of episodes of this TV series. He means business in this one, and he sort of treats Freddy as a possessing entity. There are little hints like that, like we see in Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. This boy Randy seems to be not necessarily possessed by Freddy, but when Freddy jumps ship from him and moves into the Doctor's dreams, he's sort of released from it. So Freddy is a curse, or Freddy as a virus. Naturally, we know who's going to come off best when the Doctor thinks that he's cured the kid, because the kid has a full night's sleep without having a Freddy nightmare. But then the Doctor starts having nightmares about Freddy, and obviously Freddy's now entered his dreams. He's a nasty Freddy in this. I really dig it. I mean, for crying out loud, there's a decapitation in one of the dream scenes in this. And one thing this show can be accused of at times is being really goofy with its dream sequences for budgetary reasons, time reasons. But sometimes it can be really nasty. Robert Englund is the MVP of this episode, as you would imagine. He gets much more screen time in this episode than he does in most, where he tends to play the host. And the same is true of the B story, which follows the news cameraman who was documenting the psychotherapist's efforts to help Randy in the first story. In the B story, we follow him. He has now become convinced that Freddy's real, that Freddy can affect the real world, even though he died many, many years ago. And he's searching his tapes of the therapy sessions that he documented for evidence of Freddy, he gets called to a murder scene. He's supposed to meet his partner, his fiance there, who is the on-camera reporter. She never turns up. I mean, it's no big surprise to find out that hers is the body that's been discovered, that they've been sent to report on. And this cameraman becomes convinced that he will be able to find evidence of Freddy in the crime scene tapes. And as we all know, if you go looking for Freddy, you will find Freddy, or rather Freddy will find you. In a really nice touch that just ties the two segments even closer together, the cameraman enlists the help of Randy, the kid from the first segment, to go back to the warehouse at night. He enlists the kid's help because the kid is the only one he knows who also genuinely thinks that Freddy is real, and they go back to the warehouse where his fiancée was killed at night. His intention is to capture Freddy on camera. This episode does break some of Freddy's rules towards the end, perhaps because as the cameraman is providing a live news stream back to his office of what he believes is, I'm capturing Freddy on tape, I hope you're getting all of this, all they can see is an empty frame, nothing there. We cut back to his perspective and Freddy's there talking to him, and I was thinking, well, Freddy doesn't really operate like this. This isn't really working. It probably won't come as another major revelation to find out that the twist at the end is that this cameraman actually killed his partner. It's explainable. You can explain in a way that he has actually snapped and become obsessed with Freddy. So it's not the actual dream demon Freddy he's seeing in reality, in real life. He's just gone. Very, very Norman Bates. You can read it as Freddy fucking with him and framing him for murders that he's committing. I like the first reading because I like to keep my Freddy rules unbroken. But a really strong opening for season 2.